Okay, today limited were Bullard, Cooper, Cox, Dillard, Love, Walker, Williams, and Malik Willis. Did not practice Zane Anderson, TJ Slayton, Christian Watson.
Was Jordan able to throw it all, Matt?
Yeah, he was limited. Yeah, on a limited basis.
With Walker and Williams have obviously missed a bit of time. I would assume maybe it's easier to get a guy like Walker back than Williams, but is there a challenge reintegrating either of those guys?
No, I mean, they're really good football players, so if they're able to go, we'll certainly have a plan for them, and they've been working all along in terms of just staying sharp mentally. They always do a great job of standing back behind the play and, doing what they can.
Matt, you mentioned the other day you were getting good results with the run defense, but some stuff on film you didn't maybe like backside stuff and whatnot. So just in general, how do you feel about where you're at defending the run right now?
Well, I think for the most part we've done a pretty solid job this season, but I also know what type of opponent we're playing in Philly. Their offensive line, obviously Saquon, he's been pretty productive. So if you give them a lane to run through, I mean, it's one of those, he's the type of back where maybe some backs might get 10, 12 yards, he might go 80 yards. So everything is so important in terms of just playing sound football, setting edges, using your hands, defeating blocks. I mean, everything matters. And then you got to have a great tackling plan for him as well, because he's capable certainly of running through tackles or making him miss, and he's just a heck of a player.
About him in the passing game?
He's got great hands. He can run routes. Obviously, last time we played each other, he beat us on a rail route out of the backfield for a touchdown. So, and then he's just deadly in space. So the more space he has, the more dangerous he can be. I showed the guys some of the clips of him today, and these guys have seen it before, and we've all seen some of the highlight plays he's made throughout the course of the season. So he's a tough guy to defend, and then you combine that with he's not the only weapon. Certainly the receivers, tight ends, they got a lot of playmakers. So you just got to be on all your details and try to eliminate as much space as possible.
Matt, a lot is made of how young your team is. You were even younger last year when you got into the playoffs, advanced around. What did that experience do for you guys, and how do you think that will manifest itself now when you're in the playoffs again?
Well, that's a great question. I think every year is a new year. We've got new people, new pieces. I just think it's about just trying to not make the game bigger than what it is. Yes, it's a playoff game. We all understand that. But this is the same thing that these guys have been doing for, 18 weeks now. So, and just their whole career. So it's another football game, but obviously we know the margins are razor thin in this league, and you got to be at your best when your best is required, and certainly against one of the premier football teams in this league.
What do you see from the Eagles secondary that's contributed to their success this year?
Yeah, they're very good. They do a great job of eliminating explosives. I want to say they're number one in the National Football League in explosive passes, not giving them up. They do a great job of keeping a lid, and then when they challenge, I mean, you got to be physical because these guys are going to grab you, and you got to fight through contact. That's what they do. They got a veteran corner in Slay, and they got a rookie in Mitchell that's playing really, really well. And then you got the two safeties, and I just think collectively they've all done a great job.
Matt, is there one aspect of Vic Fangio's defenses as he goes around the league that you see time and time again? I mean, is it pressure on the quarterback? I know he's great at just keeping the scores down.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Vic's one of the best. And it's not like I don't think they change necessarily from week to week. They are game plan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. But they do a lot of the things that they do. But what they do complements everything that they do, especially in the back end. And they got a great front. I mean, Not to mention the backers are playing well. I think Zach Vaughn is, I mean, he's playing as well as anybody. Nakobe Dean. They just got a lot of great players with great scheme. I think he does a great job of preparing his guys. You just don't see a whole lot of open space, a lot of gotcha plays. They keep everything in front of you, and you're going to have to earn it. And you have to do that with consistent execution, try to stay ahead of the sticks, because if they get you in 3rd and long, it's a nightmare.
Look at the Eagles' passing game. Total yards may not be there, but they have premier weapons. What's the challenge with A.J. Brown specifically? What you have to do as a defense to slow him down?
Yeah, AJ is just, he's such a big physical receiver, and, he could take a slant or an under route and break a tackle and take it to the house, and he's been doing it for a long time now. I mean, obviously, he got us week 1 on a double move that, we couldn't get him on the grass after he caught the ball. So he is a dynamic playmaker. They got Devontae Smith, he's electric. So, like I said, they just got a lot of pieces.
Matt, I know your 2 quarterbacks are limited. What about how you're approaching whatever uncertainty there might be with the Eagles' quarterback situation?
Well, we're going to anticipate Jalen's going to play. I mean, but if, he can't, then we'll be ready for that as well.
You mentioned their secondary grabbing. Is that something that you get on the officials, like, pregame? I guess, how does that work?
I feel like every time I bring that up, we end up getting called for something. So I just, it is what it is. It's playoff football, and yeah, you got to be physical through contact. You got to be great you got to have a release plan, and be great with your fundamentals, and just fight. You got to fight, and that's just the way it is. I mean, that's this league.
Did limiting Josh as much as you did against the Bears pay the dividends you were hoping for in terms of where he's at going into this game?
Well, you'd have to ask him. He says he feels good, so we'll see where he's at. And usually, he's a pretty tough guy.
In terms of the coin toss, taking the ball first, you've had a lot of success getting that early lead, and you've had some times where you haven't. Is that something that you're resolute that that's what you want to do all the time? Because it's tended to lean that direction more often than not.
Yeah, it's great when it works out. It's not great when it doesn't. So I think every game's a little bit different. Certainly the weather can play a part into determining what you want to do and just where do you think you have an advantage. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're going to do, but we'll find out on Sunday.
With the backfield, some of the injuries that popped up during training camp, what do you thought of how, Emmanuel, Chris have sort of picked up that baton and sort of been the next guys there with Josh?
Yeah, I think they've done an outstanding job, and obviously getting Chris later in this process, for him to be able to come in and contribute the way he has. I mean, us being able to put 2 halfbacks out there at the same time, a lot of times he's doing a lot of the dirty work leading up for who's ever back there, whether it's Josh or E. So I really commend what he's been able to do. Come in and contribute on teams has been huge. And then he's just been consistent. When he gets an opportunity, he seems to make plays. And I do think he's really come and grown over the course of these last 2 years. I mean, he's grown a lot, and it's just the development of other aspects of his game, whether it's in pass protection. I think he's taken a huge step. He's provided an added contribution in the passing game as a guy that is reliable out of the backfield. So I love all our backs. I think they've all done an outstanding job and have contributed to the success of our football team.
Matt, we saw the play that Malik Heath made in the game on Sunday. How ready are he and Bo to contribute more without Christian available?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, again, those guys approach it the right way. Bo has shown that a year ago in terms of just showing up in big-time games, and he was our first 100-yard receiver. So I think both of those guys are ready for it, and you never, you hate to see what happened to Christian. That's a real kick in the gut for us as a football team, more so for him as a person and as a competitor. But as far as just everybody in that room has got to pick up the slack, whether it's those two guys or, Wicks or Rome or Jay Reed, collectively as a unit, I think we have to do that.
Did you say Slayton didn't practice?
He did not.
What's his injury, and is Sunday in jeopardy for him, or did he just need it?
Yeah, I mean, anytime a guy doesn't practice, I would say that's a concern. So we'll see where he's at. Well, again, we're going to give him throughout the week. This is the time of the year. He's played a lot of ball for us, so I don't feel like he necessarily, you'd love for him to get a bunch of reps. I don't necessarily think he absolutely needs those, as long as we keep him engaged and he's getting those mental reps, and then try to rest him up as best as possible and see where he's at for Sunday.
Matt, without seeing the film of practice today,
Just kidding.
did the tweaks that you talked about on Monday to try and kind of eliminate some of the sloppiness, did you feel like those worked? Did you feel good about kind of what you...
Yeah, I thought it was. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be things that you need to clean up, but I think the emphasis is on the detail and just playing with great fundamentals, pad level. If you go back to the last time we played these guys, we had some costly mistakes, be it penalties, playing with poor fundamentals, or there are a couple plays defensively where we didn't get aligned right, and that really hurt us. So it's just getting all 11 on the same page, making sure everybody is doing their responsibility to the best of their ability, and playing with great technique, effort, fundamentals, physicality.